right, welcome into another episode of Power 5 Picks. I am here with Ethan. We have conference championship week this week. So not a whole slate. There's just a couple games. Obviously, since we're Power 5 picks, we're only going to talk about the Power 5 teams. So the five biggest games, in my opinion. There are a couple big implicated games in the non-Power 5 group of five teams. Because if you remember, the new rule is one non-power five team, the highest ranked team will get a New Year's Six bid. So that's, I think, in between Tulane and I think Liberty are the two teams that are in contention for that final New Year's Six game. So there's a couple other big games out there, but obviously, as always, we're just going to talk about the big boy games, the Power 5 games. So Ethan, how are you, bud? I know we were just talking quickly before the show. Can't wait for this weekend to get here for these games. Super exciting. But how are you? How are you feeling about these games?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Cannot wait for the college action to start. I've had 6 straight winning weekends in college football, so absolutely rolling in the sport. Hope it continues. I feel like conference championships are a little bit tougher, and then bowl games with all the opt-outs are pretty tough as well. But really happy with how college football has gone. Ton of big matchups, like you mentioned. So it should be a really nice weekend of football, even though it is a abbreviated slate. Um, yeah, I feel pretty good about all the picks we're about to give out. So
Oh boy.
we'll see. We'll see.
All right. As always, I put our little icons next to the team prior to the show starting. I obviously know my picks, but I guess yours, and I put yours opposite every single one of mine. So if you're confident, that makes me feel like absolute dog shit. But yikes. But a quick recap: last week, tough week. I went 3-2. You went 2-3. Our records still above 500. You're 20-19-1. I am 23-21-1. So again, not super profitable. I were just right at that 50-50 mark. But hopefully this week, we can maybe agree on some because I have us on every single game. I have us on different sides. But hopefully we agree, and hopefully we can get. Haven't had a perfect 5-0 yet, so maybe that could happen in the final. I guess technically regular season week in college football. But first game on the slate, we're just going to go in order of when these games are starting. So this is coming out Friday morning, and this game's actually this afternoon or tonight, Friday night, and that is a Pac-12 championship between number 5 Oregon and number 3 Washington. I'm not familiar where any of these games are played besides the Big Ten championship, which is in Indianapolis, but they should be mutual or neutral sites. I'm not sure where the Pac-12 plays, but Oregon is a shocking 9.5 point favorite against Washington. Over under sitting at 65.5. What do you think about, or who do you think is going to win this game? And 9.5 points for a team. It's a rematch game, but a team that lost to this team earlier in the season is now a 9.5 point favorite.
Yeah, before I get into this game, just going on your predictions for me, I predict, and I'm gonna say I guarantee that we're on the same side for 2 games.
Okay.
And I think this is one of them. So
Okay.
I like Oregon. I like Oregon minus the 9.5. Fishy line. Are you on Oregon?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a guarantee out the window already. Also, this game is played in Paradise, Nevada, I'm seeing.
Okay.
So right there. But yeah, I like Oregon. Washington they keep winning games, but they just haven't been too impressive. Squeaked one out against Oregon State not long ago. I was on Oregon State in that game. It's tough to say Oregon State was the right side. I think Washington probably was the right side, but it was a close game. They only squeaked it out by 2. Struggled against Washington State, winning late with a field goal last week. Struggled against USC, Utah. Even though they're good teams, none compared to Oregon. Obviously, Washington beat Oregon in the regular season, but that was kind of their last impressive game to me. They've kind of just coasted through after that. I just think Oregon's offensively way better. I think defensively they're better. They do have the revenge factor. They need this win to make the playoff. The line is just fishy. Yeah, everything's stacking up on Oregon for me here. It is a tough price to pay. I'm kind of hoping this gets back down to I don't know if it's coming back down. I think people are going to be on Washington, so I'm waiting. I haven't bet it yet, but I think Oregon wins this by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious play. Why is a team that lost this team earlier a almost 10 point favorite? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but unfortunately, I think I'm going to fall for it, but I think Oregon's becoming kind of public. So I'm going to take Washington. I actually am going to sprinkle Washington money line. I think they're going to win it outright. It's probably great value. I'm not sure what it's at. It's got to be above 200 something, probably 250 ish. So the only reason, again, the line's super fishy. I think it's almost impossible to beat a team twice in the same year, especially in college football. Nearly impossible. But the one conference that does it all the freaking time is the Pac-12. The amount of times I got screwed in a Pac-12 conference championship game, it's been the last 2 years. And yes, it's been USC both times. But last year, most notoriously, USC was on a rematch game against Utah. That was their only loss in the regular season. They lost to Utah 43-42. And then they had a rematch game against Utah in the Pac-12 championship. If USC won that game, they are probably 90%, 95% in the college football playoff. So USC had a bunch to play for, a rematch game, college football playoff bid. And what did they do? They lost by 20 freaking points. So I don't know. Pac-12's, in my mind, the weirdest conference. Anyone can win. There's not a whole lot of defense, a lot of offense. So if you get lucky on a couple big plays, I mean, anyone could beat anyone. We've seen that this whole entire year. So I'm gonna take the risk. I think. I mean, obviously, Oregon's a better team. Oregon should have won that game in the regular season at Washington. I think they outplayed them. They just Washington did a nice little drive at the end of the game. But yeah, I'm gonna take Washington plus 9.5. And again, I'm gonna sprinkle their money line. It's just too good a value for, in my mind, for the Pac-12, where games can just be decided by one 90-yard run or whatever. It seems like there's always a massive yardage chunk play that's in the side of the game. So I'm gonna take the value. And for my my Wolverines, I'm hoping I'm gonna be rooting for Washington because they are a much easier opponent in my mind than Oregon. That's how a couple of my players are gonna go. How do I want Michigan to? Who do I want Michigan to face? But yeah, that's gonna be a great game Friday night. A couple hours away from you guys watching this. So really good game. Super excited for that.
I did a quick peek while you were talking there. Caesar Sportsbook has Washington money line plus 310.
Ooh,
So
yeah, I'll be taking that.
if anyone's got Wyatt's mindset, shop around. I saw DraftKings was 275, FanDuel 280. So some good
Beautiful.
prices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you to throw massive amounts of units on this, but could be potentially a half unit play. Again, plus 300 above that is just good value in my eyes. Now the rest of our four games are on Saturday. It kicks off with our 12 p.m. 12 p.m. Big 12 championship between number 18 OK State and number 7 Texas. No idea how OK State's in this game. If you guys remember, you probably don't. OK State lost to Southern Alabama 33-7. Not even a fluke game. They got outplayed, demolished by Southern Alabama. They then went, not a terrible loss at Iowa State, lost by 7. I'm not going to hold that against them. Iowa State, tough defense, tough place to play. That's not a terrible loss. And then they lost to first year Big 12 team, UCF, 45-3. So it's not like, so two of those wins are against pretty much power or non-power 5 teams. UCF, yes, they're in the Big 12, but are they really? And they got murdered. And then in Texas, one loss is to Oklahoma, who Oklahoma State beat. Don't know how. And then Texas probably has one of the best wins in the college football season, going to Bama and beating Alabama by 10. We've kind of been talking. You see it all the time on ESPN, how the college football playoff, everyone thinks it's going to go. A lot of people are keeping Texas out of this. They're going to be the one Power 5 team. A lot of people are saying going to be out of the college football playoff with only one loss, even if they win the Big 12 championship game. So I think Texas is pissed. This line has moved from, I believe, 13.5 to 15. The only way in my mind Texas gets in is if they absolutely dismantle OK State and a couple other teams lose. So I'm going to have Texas going in there with their guns a-blazing. I'm going to have them minus 15. I think they could win this game 30, 40 points. I mean, that's the only way in my mind they get in is they absolutely blow them out of the water. And I hate betting that because I just don't think it's a great bet, but they better come motivated to this game because, again, they could very well get snubbed, and a lot of Texas fans are going to be pretty upset. So I think Texas has a lot of motivation against a team that is just flat out weird. Okay, say it's weird. So I'm going to take Texas at the 15.
Yeah, you got me right again. I'm on Oklahoma State, but this is merely just a lean. I don't think I'll be betting this game in any capacity. But you pretty much echoed a lot of what I was going to say. Texas is the odd man out here. I don't think if they won this game by 100, they're getting in. It just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like the committee doesn't want the Big 12 into this tournament. There's just so many good teams in the Big 10, the SEC. Um, yeah, it feels like Texas isn't getting in regardless of what happens. Um, and you mentioned with Oklahoma State the losses. I don't give too much stock into the UCF loss just because um, that was after the Oklahoma game. That's the last Oklahoma State game rivalry that we're going to see in quite a while with the conferences switching up here next year. Um, but yeah, still a weird team. That South Alabama loss, no excuse for it. But I just think the points, it's just too many points here. Um, I think Oklahoma State might have a little officiating on their side, just because, like I said, I just don't think college football really wants Texas even in the conversation. Um, they obviously don't want people to say their team was snubbed. Yeah, it's just a lean here. I don't love this game. This is probably my least favorite of the games we're talking about, but I think over 2 touchdowns is just too many. I could see Texas by 14, so it's right on the edge there. Slight lean to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's just the Big 12 is just not really talked about. And for Texas, I feel bad for them, but the Big 12 just isn't good. They have a couple teams ranked, but like Oklahoma hasn't been overly impressive. Okay, State's in the conference championship game, no idea how. Kansas was kind of good, or I guess that's kind of it in the Big 12. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel bad for Texas, but I guess they're moving to the SEC next year, so I guess they can say they're in a big boy conference. But yeah, just an unfortunate year. Too many good teams this year in contention. Next is the 4 p.m. Eastern time game. In my
Last
opinion,
thing I'll say,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. The committee knows what happened last year when they put a Big 12 team into the championship game. It was not even close. So
Yeah,
probably trying to avoid a mismatch in talent.
they did make it there as opposed to the two Big Ten teams. So
They did,
I don't know.
and then it was over.
Yeah, they'll always love Big Ten football. Big Ten football is different, but I'll get into
Yeah,
that shortly. Um, my favorite game of the weekend, I think the biggest implication, even bigger than the Oregon Washington game, is the SEC championship game. This is between number 1 Georgia and number 8 Alabama. Georgia is at 5.5 point favorite, over under sitting at 54.5. I know you have a pretty large ticket on Bama that's still alive. You need Bama obviously to win this game. I'm going to send it to you first because I'm pretty sure who you got here.
I like Georgia.
Oh, okay, we agree.
This is my
Let's
other
go.
guarantee. I knew you'd have
Okay.
me for Bama. I obviously want Bama. Just I think Georgia's going to do it. I think they're going to win and cover here. Unfortunately, I'll be rooting for Bama the whole time. Um, but yeah, just a tough spot. Bama had to fight tooth and nail last week to beat Auburn. Got extremely lucky to do so. I mean, they do that play 100 times. They might succeed 3, maybe. I mean, it was an extremely lucky play. It was an awesome play. It kept my ticket alive, like you mentioned. And I think their luck runs out here. Georgia is by far a better opponent than Auburn. What is this line if Alabama doesn't beat Auburn on that 31-yard fourth down conversion? I mean, who who knows? Bama would have been out of it, so they wouldn't have much motivation in this game. That line could have been like 10 points. So I think we're getting a gift on Georgia's spread here. Um, Georgia's getting a little bit disrespected, I think, by um, I think a lot of people think Michigan's going to end up being the 1 seed in the playoff. I think they kind of want to come out here and say we're still the top team in college football. I think they're going to kind of lay it on Alabama, and ultimately, I just think Georgia's the more talented team. So, unfortunately, I do like Georgia. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Alabama ticket yet. I don't know if I want to try to do some sort of hedge here. If I just want to cash out, the cash out's not very good, or if I just ride it. Not really sure, but I do like Georgia quite a bit. And I like the over. I think this game's back and forth.
I'm glad you just said that. The over of 54.5, my favorite play it might be my favorite play of the college football season. 54.5 in this SEC championship game. I don't have the exact stats, but I looked at it earlier today. I didn't write it down, but the SEC championship game has gone to like 60 points. I think like 9 out of the last 10 games. So this is just, I mean, it's going to be high scoring. If you look at Georgia, Alabama's games the last couple of years they've played, I don't think they played last year, but the years prior, always high scoring. So love the over 54.5. It's not enough. It's going to get into the 60s easily. But yeah, this is the one game that we are agreeing on. I'm going to be taking Georgia minus 5.5 as well. A couple stats I have here to maybe persuade you off Georgia. sorry, Alabama is 10-4 in SEC championship games since they brought those in. I think that was like 1992 or something like that. Georgia's 4-6. So Bama is statistically the SEC championship. They're just the team that always wins. But Georgia again hasn't lost an SEC game, and I believe 30 or this 29 games is their streak. I think this is their 30th. And their guess who won in the SEC championship game 2 years ago is Georgia's last loss, and that was against Alabama. Georgia ultimately beat them in the college football playoff in 2021. So, yeah, I mean, can anyone stop Georgia? I don't think so. Can Michigan? I don't think so. It's definitely not going to be Alabama and Milrow, in my opinion. And yes, Georgia has looked terrible in games. They beat Georgia Tech by 8 last weekend. Terrible game is a bad spot. They've also squeaked by a couple other games, but the big games, obviously, it's Georgia has a problem. They don't get up for the games that no one cares about. They don't get up for Georgia Tech, which they should. It's a rivalry game, but they were flat as flat can be. But they get up to the big games. We saw them against Kentucky. That was Georgia's first big test on the season after everyone was saying, oh, you've played no one. They absolutely dismantled Kentucky. They then played Ole Miss, where everyone's like, oh, you don't, whatever, Kentucky's trash now. They're not ranked. Destroyed Ole Miss, who was number 10 at the time, 52-14, I think. And then Missouri, everyone was talking about how Missouri is a solid squad. And then it was a tough game, but they still beat Missouri by 2 scores. So Georgia gets up for these big games. I can't imagine a bigger game than the SEC championship against Alabama, who was their last loss. Obviously, Georgia, Alabama is a good old fashioned hate between the two teams. So I think Georgia wins this game. Honestly, I think it's going to be close, but I think the game's going to be decided by a touchdown. So I'll take Georgia at the -5.5. Again, favorite play over 54.5 in this.
Two last things to note here. One more point on Georgia. I can imagine the one team they don't want to play again in the college football playoff is Alabama, just because there's so much history there and the teams know each other so well. So I think that's another reason they come late on. And then secondly, I believe the over is 12 out of the last 14 in SEC championship games.
Beautiful. Hammer that over. It's going to only keep going up.
Yep.
It's going to be super popular. I've already seen it all over Twitter. I just locked it in right before the show. I put 2 units on it. Again, I'm probably going to add at least one more unit to make that an even 3, maybe more. But love the over 54.5.
Yep.
All right. Probably the worst game of the slate, but it is the most important to me. Michigan is against Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. Michigan, this line's all over the place. Last I checked on 11:47 on Thursday, Michigan was a 22.5-point favorite. Over-under sitting at a whopping 35 points. I'm going to send it to you because it's pretty obvious who I am taking here.
This game's tough too. This is right there with the Oklahoma State game for me. The one thing I'll say, I think if you lean Michigan, you lean the over. If you lean Iowa, you lean the under. If you like Iowa, I don't think there's any way this game goes over the total. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. I do kind of lean Iowa. Just think it's too many points. Just don't know what Michigan is really playing for in this game. Bigger and better things on the horizon. I mean, could they lose this game? Technically, yes. Are they going to? No. I think if they put up 10 points, they're probably safe, honestly. So I just don't know really what type of effort we're going to get from Michigan. I think if they're up 14 at halftime, it's kind of just let's run the clock and kind of sit on it, get ready for the playoffs. So slight lean towards Iowa. I just think it's too many points for a conference championship game, but it's scary. I mean, Michigan goes up 14 at the end of the first quarter. You're pretty much done in the water because Iowa's not going to make that up. So slight lean. Don't know if I'll bet this game. There's another game on it this time that I'm much more interested in that we are going to get to after this that I'll be paying attention to. But at this point, I'll root for Michigan for you.
But you're taking Iowa for the graphic?
Iowa for the spread. Michigan's going to win it.
Okay. I appreciate it. Pretty obvious. I'm on Michigan. Hate it, but I've locked this in on Saturday when it came out. Came out at 22, got up to 24.5, dropped down to 21.5, and now it's back up to 22.5. This line is all over the place. Do you think there's pretty sharp money coming in on Iowa? I can see this line continue to fall, which is fine for me because I'll just take Michigan if they get to under 3 touchdowns, I'm throwing my life savings on this game. But again, I hate this game. You kind of said it. What does Michigan play for? If they lose, they're probably out. There's too many teams in contention, but are they going to lose to Iowa? whose team total is 6.5, whose first and second half total is 0.5 points. I mean, I'm going to be, I might not be alive if Michigan loses this game. It's a scary thought, but like I'm going to be devastated. But yeah, I mean, Iowa, everyone makes fun of Michigan's schedule. Look at Iowa's schedule. They played one team, and that was Penn State, who's now number 10. They lost 31-0. They lost to Minnesota 12-10. They've won 5 to 6 games between 2 and 3 points, like against the Big Ten West, who is Wisconsin. We thought was good. Their ass. You got not Rutgers. You got Minnesota, who they lost to. I don't even know who's in the West. Honestly, the West sucks, so it doesn't really matter. Nebraska, who they almost lost to, game-winning field. Like this team is trash, and I just hope my boys come out. The only thing that has me that they're going to be a little up for this game is that they're getting Harbaugh back. So Harbaugh is back on the sideline. I think the storyline of them kicking the shit out of Iowa, having the Big Ten commish who Harbaugh and Michigan have gotten a fight with this a majority of the season, having him hand Harbaugh the trophy, I think that's going to be a pretty big motivational factor for Michigan. But yeah, I'm very worried they're going to come out flat. And why wouldn't you? Iowa is miserable. So I'm on Michigan. I'm going to bet it. I hate the line. I hate the game. I'm not going to touch the total because I have a feeling like Michigan could win 24-7. Am I going to be upset at that Michigan won? No, but I can't lose 2 bets on the spread and the over. So I'm going to stay away from the total. It's tempting because Michigan could obviously score 42 points easily, 35 points easily. But yeah, I got to go Michigan. Hopefully they come out to play. Hopefully Harbaugh gets some spark in the boys. But yeah, freaking Iowa, man. Get the Big Ten West put them in the MAC. It's a terrible organization. Yeah. But
if Iowa wins this game, I will be on the first flight out to Virginia from Grand Rapids.
Suicide
Hopefully I can get
hotline.
to you in time.
I don't know, man. My where I record here, I'm on a little like loft area. It's probably a 10-foot drop. If I go head first off of that, I think I could do some damage to myself. So and that might be pretty quick. But yeah, thoughts and prayers if Michigan loses that game. And the final game, it is the smallest spread. It's the ACC championship game. A lot of playoff implications on the line. It's going to make the committee. This committee is screwed either way. But we have number 14 Louisville against number 4 Florida State in the ACC championship game. Florida State, without their starting quarterback, is a 2.5-point favorite. Over under sitting at 47.5. I'm going to send it to you first. You seem pretty excited about this game. I honestly hate this game. And I'm rooting again, kind of like that. Kind of like that Washington game. I'm rooting for Washington because I think they're an easy opponent. I'm rooting for Florida State because I think they're an easy opponent. But is that a smart way to bet? I don't think so. So I think you have a little better unbiased opinion when it comes to this game.
Yeah, I absolutely love this game. Favorite game on the weekend slate of college football here. Love Louisville plus the points. Think they win outright. Already locked in plus 2.5 at even odds. Was tempted to take their money line at plus 120, but I figured taking 2.5 points at plus 100 was probably the better value play. But yeah, I think Louisville wins this game. I think they kind of dominate this game. Last week, I gave out Florida State because of the injured quarterback theory. Thought they were going to come out, play hard, beat Florida, which they did. I also liked Kentucky last week against Louisville. I thought they were looking ahead to this game. Kentucky barely squeaked that game out. They ultimately did win outright as a 7.5-point dog, but Louisville, I mean, they looked pretty good. They turned the ball over quite a few times there in the second half, which ultimately led to their loss. But again, I think they were looking ahead to this game. Part of that injured quarterback theory is play on them the first week, play against them the next week. So that's the play against on Florida State. Like I said, Louisville, I mean, you and I have kind of talked all year. We kind of think Louisville's frauds, but I don't know. They keep finding ways to win games or stay close in games. I was actually impressed with what I saw last week. And then kind of the last thing here, again, I just don't think the committee wants Florida State without Jordan Travis in the college football playoff. I think Louisville is going to get all the calls in this one. I really think the committee wants, the 4 best teams in there: Michigan, Georgia, Oregon, and who am I leaving out?
Michigan, Florida, Georgia, Oregon. I don't know. Then it's between Texas, the loser of Georgia, Bama, and Ohio
Yeah,
State.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do with that third one, but or that fourth one.
Or
Yeah,
Washington
I,
too.
I just yeah, I just don't see Florida State getting in without Jordan Travis, and I just don't think the committee wants him in. I think Louisville's the better team at this point with that backup quarterback for Florida State. Everything points to Louisville for me, so I like him in the dog role here. I think they win this game outright by probably double digits.
Yeah, this is a stupid that's 100% the right play. So if you're listening, that is 100% the right play. Um unfortunately, I'm going with my emotion. I'm taking Florida State because I'm rooting very, very, very hardcore for Florida State. Florida State might even get snubbed if they win this game. So a win here for Florida State is not an automatic bid to the college football playoff, which is crazy because they're undefeated. But as you said, they don't have a starting quarterback. The ACC is the worst Power Five conference by far, worse than the Big 12. Um, so yeah, I'm just rooting for them because I would love if Michigan faces off against Florida State without a quarterback. Like I mean, I thought TCU was a guaranteed win last year, and obviously that wasn't. But I mean, Florida State's it's hot garbage. Unfortunately for me, Louisville is also hot garbage, and I just think Louisville is more of the fraud team. I was on the right side of picking against Louisville in their 2 losses this year. I believe me and you were both on Pitt. I think that was our first Power Five episode. So if you want to go back and stat check us, but we were both on Pitt in that game. Pitt won outright by 17 points. We are both. I saw your tweet, and I had it as well. We are both on Kentucky plus 7.5 last weekend. Kentucky wins outright. So we've correctly predicted the frauds of Louisville in their 2 losses. I don't think I 100% agree with you. I'm not going to bet it because I think Louisville's the right side. And I'm going to be watching the Michigan Iowa game anyways, but I'm rooting very hardcore for Florida State simply because they're a trash opponent. So before we round up here, I'm sorry, this is kind of a longer episode. I know we're usually pretty quick at this. I just have a little bit of a college football playoff scenario for you because this scenario is or this year is nuts. So thank God they're moving to a 12-team playoff. But let's just say doesn't really matter. But let's say Washington wins.
Okay.
Let's say Georgia wins. Let's say Michigan wins. So it's Michigan, Georgia, Washington, automatic bids. There's no question that those aren't going to get in. Texas loses, Florida State loses. Now we have Ohio State 1 loss who didn't play, Florida State 1 loss,
Oregon two
and
loss.
Oregon 2 loss, Bama 2 loss. It's between Texas. I don't even know. Ohio State walks in then.
I think
Do they
Ohio State
not?
walked in.
And obviously that's
Think
saying
they
a
might.
lot. Washington's a 9-point dog. Texas is a 15-point favorite. So that's a crazy scenario. But as me, I'm a Michigan fan, obviously. Ohio State scares the shit out of me. It's almost impossible to beat a team twice. And I'm like, everyone's trying to, I mean, my buddies, we have a group chat. Everyone's talking about, Ohio State's 100% done. But that's not the craziest situation. If Florida State loses, which I think is correctly going to happen, I just bet against it. Washington, I think, is going to win. Texas could very well, OK State's the weirdest team in here. OK State could play lights out. Georgia, could win. I don't know. Ohio State definitely has an opportunity still. It's a slim possibility, but it very well could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like, they're not dead in the water.
I think tomorrow we'll put an end to that thought. Hopefully for your sake and mine, but yeah, it could happen. I think I said this on the live. The one team I absolutely do not want making the college football playoff is Florida State. I would be
Yeah.
quite upset if Florida State makes it, just because for the purity of the playoff and what it is, I would not like that at all.
All right,
That's the one thing I'm rooting for.
Okay, here's a more realistic scenario. Bama beats Georgia. That means Bama gets in. Michigan beats Iowa. Michigan gets in. Let's say Oregon wins. Oregon gets in. Let's say Florida State loses to make it interesting. So now we have 1 loss Washington. Say Texas wins. 1 loss Texas. 1 loss Georgia. And then Ohio State's obviously out of the picture, so I'm not even including them. But who do you put in then? Do you put Georgia back in?
I think Georgia gets in if that scenario holds
over
true.
A Big 12 champion Texas.
Yeah. And I would go one step further. I think even if Florida State wins and Bama beats Georgia, I would still think Georgia makes it over an undefeated Florida State.
Wow. That if Bama wins this game, all hell is breaking loose because all hell is breaking loose in the committee. The committee is begging Georgia to win this game so they don't have to make that decision. They're already going to screw someone up regardless of what's going to happen. But if Bama wins, it's really hard. I agree. I think Georgia has to go in as well. I think Georgia's still the best team in the country, even if they lose to Bama. Georgia, Bama, Michigan. Then you have a one-loss Oregon, one-loss Washington, Oregon Pac-12 champion, one-loss Texas Big 12 champion. Say Florida State wins, ACC champ. I don't know, man. That's
Crazy.
A nightmare.
Crazy.
It's an absolute nightmare. But do you have anything to add?
That's why you just win 4 games on the year. You take yourself right out of it, and you don't even think about it. It's a good strategy.
It's simple.
No stress.
I mean, personally, I kind of want one more year of the 14 playoff with the new conference alignment because I think it's going to work itself out.
Yeah.
And as a team that's hopefully going to be in contention next year, it's going to be extremely hard to win a 12-team playoff. Like, that's a lot. That's the champion of that first 12-team playoff. I think is going to be the best college football team we've seen in a while because it's a really tough task to win multiple postseason games, especially to play 16 games, whatever it's going to be, injuries and whatnot. So I kind of wish they kept the 4 team just for one more year with the new conference realignment because I think a lot of it's going to work itself out more so than this year. This year it's absolute madness. And if they continue to do it like this year, you can't. So I get it. But crazy week of college football. Crazy week. Yeah. Selection Sunday is on Sunday after the Michigan and Louisville game. And that will be where we get our final 4 teams. So I might have an instant reaction to that coming out Sunday night. Again, if Michigan's loses, I will probably have an instant reaction to jump off this balcony. But yeah, that's all I got. But I'm already sweating. I can't wait. You got anything to add?
Just to clarify, is it Saturday night or Sunday night that they do the selection?
Oh shoot, it is Sunday night. Yeah.
You said Sunday. But you said after the Louisville and Michigan game.
So I think it's like it's Sunday. Sunday, I think it's like at 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's gonna be a great weekend of college football. Hope to profit. Going for 7 weeks in a row. I will have some premium plays coming out with some college football picks. Usually I only give out the NFL and the premium plays. I'll give out some college this week. So tune into those. Going for 7 straight weeks.
Yeah. Again, we post all of our plays on Twitter. We're getting our premium plays and free plays out on the blog on bettergreen.com. Continuing to posting on all sports. We have our NFL video that just came out yesterday. We have a couple UCF videos, college basketball videos coming out. So we have a bunch of different content, hopefully catering to everything you need. Potentially an NHL show coming once college football starts winding down and the NFL starts winding down. So hopefully we're getting all areas of your sports needs. But we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Good luck if you are tailing. Honestly, you can't go wrong. We pretty much picked every other team except Bama. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for hopping on, and good luck this weekend. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast. Better in Green.